Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure for us to welcome you to this online public lecture, Holistic Education in Japanese School, Intellectual, Physical, and Character. First of all, I'd like to welcome our esteemed guest today from the Japan International Cooperation Agency, Mr. Yasui Takehiro, the Chief Representative, JICA Indonesia Office, Professor Kayashima Nobuko, Senior Research Advisor at JICA Ogata Research Institute, our speaker today. I'd like to also welcome the Executive Board members of the Faculty of Humanities Universitas Indonesia, the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities, Dr. Bondan Kanumoyoso, Vice Deans, Managers, and all participants of this online public lecture. My name is Cisanti Arumsari, and I will be the host today. Ladies and gentlemen, this online public lecture of Holistic Education in Japanese School, Intellectual, Physical, and Character is held by the Faculty of Humanities Universitas Indonesia and the Japan International Cooperation Agency Indonesia Office. This afternoon, we're going to have a speaker, Kayashima Nobuko, Ph.D., a Senior Research Advisor at JICA Ogata Research Institute. And this session will be followed by a questions and answers session. So, ladies and gentlemen, to start our online public lecture today, we will listen to the opening speech from the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities Universitas Indonesia, Dr. Bondan Kanumoyoso.
Thank you, Mbak Tisa, our Master of Ceremony for this afternoon lecture. Good afternoon, Chief Representative JICA Indonesia Office, Mr. Yasui Takehiro, and all JICA team. Our distinguished speaker, Professor Kayashima Nobuko, lecturers and students of Faculty of Humanities Universitas Indonesia, all FIB UI-JICA online public lecture participants. Welcome to the Faculty of Humanities Universitas Indonesia. Although it is a true online meeting, we hope that soon we can also have on-site public lecture. On behalf of Faculty of Humanities Universitas Indonesia, I would like to thank for the cooperation of Japan International Cooperation Agency organizing this online public lecture today. Together with our team from Academic Unit, Public Relation Unit, and Japanese Studies Program, Faculty of Humanities Universitas Indonesia. JICA and FIB UI has a cooperative agreement in conducting public lecture and also conducting a regular class entitled Japanese Modernization last year. This regular class will also be held on next semester as one of our Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka or independent learning program by inviting students from other Japanese studies program in Indonesia universities. Today's lecture theme is Holistic Education in Japanese School, Intellectual, Physical, and Character. As we know, to invest in education is also mean to invest for the future. We would like to know and discuss how Japan invests in education starting from post-war era until now and how it benefits for Japan. Since we know that this is a very important topic to discuss, we invite lecturers and students from 27 Japanese studies program from various universities in Indonesia, starting from Jabodetabek area, or Greater Jakarta, West Java, Central Java, and Yogyakarta, East Java, Bali, Sulawesi, and also Sumatra as well. We also invite primary, junior high, and high school teachers to make the discussion today more fruitful and insightful. We really hope that today's online public lecture will be useful, and this collaboration between FIB UI and JICA will be strengthened, developed, and continue all the way in the future and growth to involve other kind of joint program. Thank you and have a great time by joining this public lecture. Domo arigato, terima kasih.
Thank you very much for the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities for the opening speech. Next, we would like to invite the JICA Indonesia Chief Representative, Mr. Yasui Takehiro, to deliver the opening remark and introduction.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Selamat siang. I am Yasui, Chief Representative of JICA Indonesia office. Okay, first of all, we hear a big earthquake hit the south of West Java yesterday, and many people lost their lives and are injured. I would like to express my condolences to all people affected by the disaster. I know Indonesia is a resilient country against natural disaster. I do hope that they will recover very soon. Okay, let me start for the seminar. It's my great pleasure to see all of you, and thank you very much for participating in today's webinar. As far as I see, around 140 participants are gathering to this webinar. This webinar has been organized jointly by the Faculty of Humanities, University of Indonesia, and Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. I would like to express my gratitude to the professors and lecturers for their kind cooperation in realizing this JICA program for Japanese students in Indonesia, studies in Indonesia. The main target of JICA chair is to give hints or suggestions to our partner countries to a better pathway of further development by sharing Japan's experiences and lessons learned through its modernization and development cooperation with other countries. Today's webinar is about education in Japan. I hope you can understand it and you will gain different perspectives about education and its challenges as well. Speaker today is Dr. Kayashima. She worked in JICA for a long period and served as Senior Vice President several years ago. She has a good and superior expertise in education, so she will give you impressive lecture. I strongly hope that all participants will enjoy the webinar, learn a lot from Japan's unique and considerable experiences of development, and much more importantly, think about what can be utilized and reflected in Indonesia. I wish you will make a great contribution to building a better country and strengthening friendship of two countries as a leader of various fields of Indonesia. Thank you. Terima kasih banyak. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you for the welcoming remark from the JICA Indonesia Chief Representative. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start our session today, we'd like to invite everyone to a photo session. So we kindly request everyone to turn on your camera. We have 6 slides in here, and we're still waiting for all the participants to kindly open your camera so we can take the picture of everyone in here. All right, so we will start from the first slide. Okay, smile, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then the second slide, 1, 2, 3. The third one, 1, 2, 3. The fourth slide, 1, 2, 3. The fifth one, 1, 2, 3. The last one, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much, everyone, for your cooperation. Next, we will have our speaker delivers the materials for this online public lecture. And I'd like to also inform all participants that you may write your questions to our speaker in the chat box. And also, Please make sure that you keep your microphone unmuted during the lecture. Now, I'd like to invite our moderator today, Ruli Esther, Ph.D. And let me introduce our moderator first. Ruli Esther, Ph.D. is a lecturer of Japanese Studies program at Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia. She is currently the manager for academic affairs at Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia. Now, without further ado, we invite Ruli Esther, Ph.D. to start the session with our speaker.
Thank you very much, Ibu Cisa, for your introduction. All right, once again, my name is Ruli Esther Pasaribu, and right now I am a lecturer at Japanese Studies program, and also I serve as a manager for academic affairs at Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia. So before the lecture session, let me first introduce Professor Kayashima Nobuko. Professor Kayashima Nobuko is a senior research advisor at JICA Ogata Institute. She completed her Ph.D. at Nagoya University, majoring in international development. Her field of research include educational development, development cooperation by universities, and internationalization of higher education. Some of her research work publications are Japan's International Cooperation in Education, International Education Cooperation of Japan, History and Perspectives, and Realizing Education for All in the Digital Age. And of course, many more than this. This lecture will be conducted in English, and as a moderator at the end of the session, I will wrap up the session in Bahasa Indonesia, and after that we will proceed to Q&A and discussion session, and feel free to ask directly in English or Japanese, or if you ask in Bahasa Indonesia, we would be glad to help to translate. Jadi kuliah ini akan diselenggarakan dalam bahasa Inggris. Setelah selesai kuliah dalam bahasa Inggris, saya akan sedikit menyimpulkan secara singkat dalam bahasa Indonesia, dan setelah itu Bapak Ibu boleh bertanya, boleh dalam bahasa Inggris atau dalam bahasa Jepang ataupun dalam bahasa Indonesia. Nanti kami di sini akan mencoba untuk mengakomodir jika Bapak Ibu bertanya dalam bahasa Indonesia. Alright, without further ado, let's welcome Professor Kayashima Nobuko. Kayashima Sensei, yoroshiku onegai itashimasu.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. I am Nobuko Kayashima, Senior Research Advisor at JICA Ogata Sadako Research Institute for Peace and Development. Thank you very much, Professor Bondan Kanum Yoso. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to pronounce the Indonesian name, but I hope that I pronounced correctly. The Dean Faculty of Humanities, and Dr. Ruli Esther, the lecturer and manager of academic affairs, the University of Indonesia, and also Mr. Yasui Takehiro, our chief representative JICA Indonesia office. Thank you very much for everything. It's my great pleasure and honor to be given an opportunity to speak today in this webinar with the participants all over the Indonesian country. I was very impressed by that today's participants are coming from the different parts of the country. Thank you very much. Would you please start sharing my slides, please? Okay, so today I'd like to talk about the current state of education in Japan, focusing on the characteristics of primary school education. Have you ever heard or seen anything about primary education in Japan? Or have you got any ideas or images about Japanese primary schools through watching Japanese TV anime such as Doraemon? Today, I'd like to explain with many photos to let you know the concrete picture of Japanese primary school education. While listening to my talk, please try to compare it with your own primary school life experience in Indonesia. After my explanation, I hope that we can have a discussion on the comparison of the school life between two countries. Would you please go to the next slide? One of the characteristics of Japan's primary school education is its holistic approach, covering the different aspects of the education. In Japan, it is said the Japanese school education covers the academic dimension or academic development of students and the mental or the socio-emotional competency development, as well as the physical development. I suppose some of the audience are learning Japanese language, so I put some Japanese words too. At the bottom, the kyoiku means education, and the chiku means the academic aspects or intellectual aspects of the education. You can find chi plus iku. Iku is same to the kyoiku, iku. And the chi means the knowledge. So it means the intellectual aspects of the education or academic aspects of the education. And tokuiku means the mental or socio-emotional or ethical development aspect of the education. Toku means the virtue or the goodness. And the third aspect is the physical dimension of the education. And the taiiku, we call it taiiku. Tai means a body. So the physical education is the taiiku. So in Japanese education, the school education covers all these three aspects. It is said that it is one of the most salient features of Japanese school education. Would you please go to the next slide? I copied this image from Japan's Ministry of Education website. This picture explains that the Japanese school education covers three dimensions, as I mentioned. But on the other hand, in foreign countries, in this case, it's mainly the Western countries, the school education covers mainly academic aspects, academic development in education, and the moral education or socio-emotional development of students is taken care by the church or the family. So the moral education is conducted in church or at home. And the physical education is generally given by the community organizations, or for example, school clubs are operated by the community itself. Okay, so this is the one of the difference between the Japan and the Western countries. Okay, would you please go to the next slide? So today I'd like to explain these three dimensions of Japanese school education with various, with a lot of pictures. The first first aspect is the academic development in education. And in this, the aspects that teachers teach academic subjects to students in the class according to a timetable, and the students are sitting in the class and hearing the talk of the teachers, or sometimes students do the group works or field works. These educational activities are very universal and do not differ very much from country to country. I suppose in Indonesia you have a very similar image of school life or school learning or teaching. Would you please go to the next slide? One of the characteristics of Japanese education in the academic aspect is its curriculum. This slide shows the national curriculum guideline, which was enacted from 2020. And you can see in Japanese curriculum, in primary school curriculum, Japanese language, mathematics, science, and social studies and science. These four subjects are considered as the core curriculum. And you can see these 4 core curriculum accounts around the half, a little bit more than half, 55% to 65% of the total teaching hours in Japanese curriculum. But on the other hand, the non-core curriculum, such as music, the physical education, arts, etc., are given a certain portion of the time, around 30% of the time. 1/3 of the whole teaching and learning time are allocated to these non-core or non-major subjects. This is one of the characteristics of Japanese curriculum. In Japanese primary education, the relatively the heavy emphasis is given to these non-core curriculum education, especially physical education shares a large portion in the timetable. You can find the special activities at the bottom of the table, and it's 35 hours for each grade allocated to these special activities, 特別活動 program. I will explain later what these special activities mean. Okay, would you please go to the next slide? So the Japanese curriculum has been revised every 10 years as society and the economy change, educational needs change. So the curriculum has been revised accordingly. After World War II, under the influence of the US occupation, the child-centered progressivism became the mainstream, but later the curriculum became heavier due to the global trend towards the curriculum modernization and the domestic demand to strengthen science and technology under the rapid economic growth in the 1960s, which led to the consolidation of the major subjects. After the 1970s, as the problem surrounding children and school became more serious, such as intensifying competition for entrance examinations, dropouts, non-attendance at school, or bullying problems, and school violence, the curriculum changed in the opposite direction and became lighter under the name of Yutori Kyoiku. I suppose the Japanese Yutori education is also known to in Indonesia. So this is the beginning of the Yutori Kyoiku. And in 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, the Yutori Kyoiku was the mainstream. But from around 2000, the curriculum has again been in the direction of increase, this time due to the greater criticism of declining academic achievement. Thus, the Japanese curriculum has moved back and forth between the two directions. Currently, the curriculum is in the direction of increase. Okay, would you please go to the next slide? Okay, so we now the curriculum which was enacted from 2017 and implemented fully from 2020 is used in all of the Japanese schools. The following the national curriculum is mandated by the law. So all the school education, the primary school education are following the same curriculum. And the central concept of the latest curriculum is ikiru chikara, or to translate it literally, the power to live. But the Japanese Ministry of Education uses the expression of just for life in English to translate this word, ikiru chikara. So this means school education aims to nurture the competencies to survive on its own, one's own, in the increasingly uncertain 21st century. To achieve this, the emphasis is placed on proactive learning, not mere memorization or cramming. For example, the students are finding the daily life issues or global issues which are related to their life and gathering information by their own and investigate possible solutions or discussing group or making presentation or communicate each other, etc., etc. That kind of educational activities are very much encouraged in Japanese primary school nowadays. And also English education and the digital education are also that focus. Okay, please go to the next slide. This is my last slide for the academic aspect of the school education. And this slide shows the result of the Japanese students in PISA and TIMSS, the international comparison, international assessment of the academic achievement at primary and secondary levels. And the Japanese students have been showing or enjoying the top rankings, especially in science and mathematics, continuously from 1960s. You can see around 2003 or 2006, the ranking became a little bit lower or have dropped a little bit. And this, the drop, the falling of the ranking were conceived by the society, by the population, as a PISA shock, and this sparked the huge criticism against the Yutori education. So that declining, the lowering, the drops of the ranking in the international comparison triggered the revision of the Yutori education. Okay, would you please go to the next slide? So from here, I'd like to explain about the second aspect of the education, the socio-emotional development or the mental development of the student by the Japanese school education. In Japanese school education, there is a moral education as a teaching subject, and moral education, the class of the moral education is a central part of the social and emotional development of the student. But there are also various activities to nurture, to develop the socio-emotional competencies in children. I'd like to explain here about the special activities, tokkatsu, or the cleaning of the of school by students, or lunch programs, which contribute to the mental development of the students. Okay, would you go to the next slide? As I mentioned when I explained about the Japanese curriculum, the latest curriculum, there is the section of the special activities, which is allocated 35 hours per year for every grade. And so in Japanese curriculum, there is this kind of the special activities. And one of the category, one of the four categories of the special activities are classroom activities. In Japanese school, there is a class meeting for every class. And this class meeting, in this class meeting, students discuss the problem of the class or problem of the school, or about the preparation work for the school events. There are leaders of the class elected by the classmates, and these leaders or chair this kind of the class meeting. You can see on the picture on the top, you can see that the teacher is sitting aside. Teacher is sitting in the corner of the class and observing the meeting, and the leaders are chairing the meeting. In addition to this kind of the regular class meeting, there are morning meeting and the end of the class meeting every day in the class. And in the morning class and in the end of the class meeting, the nichoku, or the duty of the day or leader of the day, are chairing the meeting. And again, the teacher sitting aside. And in the morning meeting or in the end of the class meeting, there are various programs such as the 1-minute speech, or the celebration of the birthday of the classmates, or singing a song together, or the teacher convey or give some necessary information or instruction for tomorrow's program, etc. Generally, 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening. It's a very short meeting, but every day before the class and at the end of the class. And duty of the day, or leader of the day, or nichoku, is on rotation every day, so that every member of the classmates are taking this task of nichoku, or the chairing the meeting in the morning and in the evening. Okay, would you please go to the next slide? Another form of special activity is student council activities. This time, this is not the classroom activity. This is the whole school activity. There is a student council with the representative of every class or every grade. And again, the president, a kind of the president, is elected by these representatives of the classes. And the president of the student council manage or chair the meeting and discuss the daily issue of the school, or about the necessary preparation of the school event. Could you go back to the slides? Okay, thank you very much. And under the student council, there are various committees. For example, plant and animals rearing committee, or school newspaper committee, or library committee, or environment improving committee, or beautification committee, or broadcasting, school broadcasting committee, etc., etc. So in the school council activities or the committee activities under the school council, the students from the different grades are gathering and working together, and they are expected to learn and grow in a mixed age group. Okay, would you please go to up? Yes, and this kind of sorry, would you go back to the previous slide? Yes, these classroom activities and the student council activities, the classroom or the class or the school are considered as micro societies, and the students are required to actively participate to that micro society and to share specific responsibility and tasks of the society they belong to. And they learn how to become a good member of that society. It is a very typical, very interesting that the Japanese school are often considered. It is a form of it is a way to learn how to create a community or the society with the full participation of the members, and the students are required to learn the participation to the society or the community by this kind of activity of the class or the school. Okay, please go to the next slide. Under the category of special activity, there are other activities too. For example, this kind of club activities. As I mentioned in the second slide of the presentation, in Western countries, it is said the sports clubs are operated by the community, not school. But in Japan, all of the schools have club activities, provide club activities. There are sports clubs such as tennis, table tennis, or the baseball, soccer, or badminton, etc. And also indoor activity clubs such as cooking, PC, science, music, or the Japanese chess, etc. Some part of these club activities are conducted within the class hours, but the majority, the major part of activities are conducted after the classes in the evening. So after the class ends, the students remain staying at school, maybe from 3:30 to 5 in the evening, or from 4 o'clock to the 5 o'clock in the evening, and they participate the club which they prefer. And often the teachers take the task of the sport coach or instructor of indoor activities. Okay, would you please go to the next slide? In Japanese schools, there are many kinds of school activities, school events, such as one-day trip or overnight trip, or the sports festival, or music festival, or school art festival, etc., etc. And these events are also prepared by the teachers, but some parts are prepared by the student council or the classroom meeting or classroom by the class members of each grade. The bottom picture shows the disaster drill. Japan is a very disaster-prone country, like Indonesia. We have also a lot of earthquakes, typhoon, and tsunami, etc., etc. So the disaster drill is a very regular practices in Japanese school. This is a picture of the disaster drill for the earthquake, I suppose. And once the earthquakes is announced by the broadcasting system within the school, the students hide under their desks. This is also a very familiar scene for Japanese in the school. Okay, would you please go to the next slide? So until here, these are the special activities. And this is not the special activities, but I'd like to explain about the school lunch program and also creating activities, because often the foreign visitors are very much interested in and also very impressed by these activities when they visit Japanese primary school. Here, this slide is showing the Japanese lunch programs. In Japanese primary schools, almost all schools are providing school lunch. There is a school lunch roll, and every schools are required to provide the lunch program to their students. Generally, the school lunch is cooked by the school kitchen within the school, or the kitchen of the school districts covering the 5 or 6 schools. And the students of each classes bring the food from the kitchen to the room and distribute the lunch to every member of the classroom. Generally, the teacher teachers take the lunch together with the students in the classroom. You can see white apron and white mask and white hat, who are the duty of school lunch. Again, the duty of school lunch is in rotation, so every member of the class will take this task of the bringing and distributing and removing the dishes to the kitchen again, etc. This is again a very familiar scene for Japanese people, and we have been very much accustomed to wearing the white mask for more than 50 years. So at the time of the pandemic of the corona, we didn't have much hesitation to wear the white mask. I think this is a little bit the influence of the school lunch program, the exercise. Okay, the school lunch was started just after the World War II. At that time, Japan suffered very serious starvation, and the children are suffering the malnutrition. So the US and also UNICEF supported Japan by sending food relief food supplies, and that kind of the food supply were used for the school lunch program, and the Japanese school lunch was started. And after that, in 1954, the school lunch program law was enacted, and the school lunch became a kind of the tradition in Japanese primary school. But the purpose or the aim of the school lunch program has very much changed. After the World War II, the purpose was the improving the nutritious situation, the condition of children. But nowadays, the purpose of the school lunch program is dietary education, how to eat healthy, or what is a healthy the food habit, eating habit, or how to enjoy eating with others, how to create a good human relationship while eating, etc., etc. That kind of the eating dietary education became the food lunch program nowadays. Not not supplementing the nutritious element of the eating. Okay, would you please go to the next slide? Another activity which is very impressing, or sometimes impressing for the foreign visitors in the cleaning of the school by students. In Japanese school, from primary up to the senior high school, it means from 6 years old until the 18 years old, Japanese students clean the school by themselves every day. At the primary school, generally after the lunch hours, lunch program, there is a time for cleaning, and the students clean the classroom by themselves, but not only their classrooms, but also the other common spaces, such as the ground, the schoolyard or gymnasium, even the toilets are cleaned by the students. You can see here the task sharing table of cleaning. So some of the members of the classmates have to take care other parts of cleaning, other space than their own classroom. And again, you see the teachers are supporting or working together with students. Yes, for cleaning. Okay, so far I have introduced various activities outside of the academic lessons in Japanese school that nurture children's socio-emotional development. Through these activities, children learn to cooperate in groups, or to communicate with others, to exercise leadership, and to express themselves. Would you please go to the next slide? And lastly, I'd like to explain about the physical development in education. The physical education as a teaching subject is the one of the very important part of this dimension, this aspect, but also other programs are prepared. For example, sports festival or undokai, or health check, or nurse's office, or the nursing teacher or lunch program. Okay, I will show you some pictures. Would you both go to the next slide? So the physical education as a subject is very important part for the development of the body, the physical development of the student. Relatively longer time is allocated to the physical education. For example, when you see the timetable for the grade 1, the mathematics is allocated 4 hours per week, but on the other hand, physical education is allocated 3 hours per week. It means the students learn mathematics 4 hours per week, but they participate physical education classes 3 hours per week. You can see how the Japanese school put the importance on the physical education compared to the core subjects such as the mathematics. The large schoolyard, gymnasium, and swimming pool are required facilities for all schools. In the physical education, not only the physical development of the student, but also the respect for rules, or the spirit of teamwork are expected to be nurtured. At the bottom, I put 3 pictures of school sports festival undokai. The undokai is one of the most important school event in Japanese school, and at the sports day or the sports festival, the various competitions and performances are held over the course of a full day. And the community members often participate to the school events. Of course, the parents participate to see how their children are performing, but also often the grandmother or grandfather or even the community member who don't have children participate to the school sports festival. Okay, please go to the next slide. In Japanese primary school, the physical examination and vision and dental health checks, the checkups by local doctors are conducted. There is a school health law, and these kind of the health check are mandatory for the Japanese primary school. In Japanese primary school, there are the infirmary, and nursing teachers are stationing in that infirmary at schools. The nursing teachers do not teach classes, but they treat students for injuries or illnesses, and also they are in charge of mental counseling. In Japan, the bullying is also a very difficult and serious issue, discussed in the everywhere, and the nursing teachers also taking care of the victims of the bullying problem. And during the past 3 years under the pandemic, since the nursing teacher is responsible for all of the aspect of the school health, the nursing teacher's role became very important. How to keep the safety and the healthy environment for all the students under the COVID-19 infection. Okay, would you please go to the next slide? This is the last slide of the physical education, physical aspect of the education. The school lunch is also a very important part of the physical development of the students. Of course, learn the healthy eating habits is the basis of the healthy life. But not only dietary eating, but also the hand washing instruction or the dental brushing instruction are often given at the time of the lunch program. Okay, would you please go to the next slide? I want to mention that it is the teachers who support this kind of the holistic approach of Japanese primary school education. The well-trained and very highly motivated teachers support this holistic approach. For example, they prepare the class, of course, but they take lunch together with students in the classroom, or they instruct and support the lunch preparation. At the time of the club, for the club activity, the teachers play the role of the sports coach or instructor of indoor activities. At the time of the cleaning, teacher supervise or the support the students during the recess. Especially for the lower grades, the teacher often stays with the students in the schoolyard. So in this way, the teachers are playing a very important role or to realize this holistic approach at primary school. Could you please go to the next slide? So as a result, Japanese teachers are very busy. This is a result of the TARIC survey of OECD. This is the international survey of the teachers. And you can see the total working hours per week is longest in Japan, almost 60 hours compared to other OECD members. And especially administrative and managerial work, engaging in extracurricular activities, Japanese teachers are spending the longest hours compared to other countries. And nowadays, the overwork of teachers became a very serious social problem. Every day in the newspapers or the news program in TV, the people are talking about how to resolve this issue of the overwork of teachers in order to keep the quality of education. Okay, would you please go to the next slide? I'd like to summarize. I am almost finishing my presentation. I'd like to summarize my presentation. These school activities were gradually developed over the course of Japan's history of educational development. This school culture is a kind of mirror of Japanese society and values. The integrated approach of Japanese school has created a well-disciplined, good at teamwork, diligent, and persevering workforce that has contributed to Japan's social stability and mass production-oriented economic growth, especially in the 1960s and 1970s. And I greatly appreciate the excellence and efforts of Japanese teachers. But I'd like to add my personal comments to this evaluation. But however, we are now living in the era that demands innovation. The challenge, I believe, is how to nurture innovative young people who can create new ideas that are different from others. In the Japanese school culture, Japanese society, a society of relatively strong peer pressure or pressure for conformity. I am wondering if today's Japanese schools are, in a sense, reproducing Japanese present society with relatively strong peer pressure. So the holistic approach might be a very good educational model, which has been developed under the Japanese history, and there is surely the positive aspects. But maybe at the same time, we have to think that there might be, personally, I think, there might be also another challenging aspect too. Okay, would you please go to my last slide? I'd like to summarize my today's presentation with these 2 points, the characteristics of basic education in Japan. One of the characteristics of basic education in Japan is its very high educational achievement with low level of deviation. It's very small gap in terms of educational achievement between the regions or between the family's social status. And as I mentioned, from the result of the PISA and TIMSS, the Japanese student has been showing a very high level of academic achievement compared with other countries. And there are several factors behind that. I think the well-trained, highly motivated teachers are most important factor contributing to the high level of academic achievement. And also, as an education system, Japan is adopting automatic progression between the grades based on age. It means there is no examination to go to the next grades. The average students go to the grade from grade 1 to grade 2, from grade 2 to grade 3. So it's automatic. So always there is a same age group within the classroom. And the third factor might be the large share of public schools in compulsory education. At the primary level, 99% of students are going to the public school. The share of private school is very minimal, very small at primary level. At the upper secondary education level, it means the senior high school level, it became larger, not the majority, but it became larger. But especially at primary and the junior high school level, the public school dominate a large share of the population. And also there are various measures to support for the educational environment in remote areas. So these factors contributing to realize the educational achievement with low deviation within the population. And the second characteristic is that the dominance of schooling and school education in children's life. Schools are a very important part of children's life in Japan. Japanese primary schools provide not only academic education, but also socio-emotional education as well as physical education, as I explained. Children not only study in the classroom, but also participate in a variety of activities in school in which they build human relationships with others and become members of the class community or school community. Compared to schools in the Western countries, school life in Japan is more important for children. I mentioned a few examples. Japanese primary school students spend much of their time at school. In the upper grades, they often stay at school until around 5 o'clock in the evening for extracurricular activities after class, such as the sports club or the indoor activities clubs. And the teachers often make rounds of the class districts outside of the class in the evening to see if any children are in danger or in trouble. If one student commits shoplifting, the shopkeeper often contacts the school rather than the police or family members. Thus, both parents and the community expect the school to be involved in the children's overall life and to play a role in the children's physical and mental development. This holistic approach to education has been successful in developing responsible members of Japanese society. The contribution of teachers has been very significant. I recognize this as a very positive aspect of Japanese education. But however, I'd like to add a different perspective at the end. There are everywhere, there are children who do not fit in very well at school, or children who have been victims of bullying or other forms of harassment. And these children feel a great sense of alienation or a great sense of isolation because of the large presence of school in their lives. Children who have lost their sense of belonging at school in Japan have no alternative place to belong. In Japan, the problems of children refusing to go to school or shutting themselves away from others have become more serious. And I feel that this has something to do with the Japanese school culture. So again, the holistic approach has a very positive the aspects, but at the same time, the negative or the challenging aspects too, the two sides of that coin. Okay, thank you very much. This is the end of my speech, my lecture. I hope that we can have a discussion or the question and answer time. I'd like to return my microphone to Dr. Rowley. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kayashima Sensei, for your insightful lecture. Before we proceed to Q&A session and discussion, let me conclude briefly about what Kayashima Sensei talked today. So some keywords we can pick up for today's lecture is first the holistic education approach, and then it divides on three levels. It is intellectual education, moral education, and physical education, and also the challenge or the side effect of implementing this holistic approach. Of course, there are positive sides, and we can see all the positive things from this, but also at the end of the session, Kayashima Sensei also mentioned some of the problem or the challenge Japan face in implementing this holistic education. Baik Bapak Ibu, kalau saya menyimpulkan dalam bahasa Indonesia secara singkat, jadi beberapa kata kunci pada kuliah kita pada hari ini adalah pendidikan holistik yang di Jepang terbagi 3, yaitu pendidikan intelektual atau akademik, lalu pendidikan moral, dan juga pendidikan fisik seperti itu. Dan di Jepang ini semua dijalankan secara menyeluruh atau secara holistik. Dan ini memberikan efek-efek yang positif ya di dalam pendidikan Jepang. Bagaimana tadi kita sudah melihat berbagai macam contoh yang tadi sudah dipaparkan oleh Kayashima Sensei, bagaimana pendidikan itu bukan hanya di kelas tapi juga di sepanjang jam pelajaran. Para murid ini mereka juga diajarkan untuk bagaimana memiliki life skill, juga bekerja sama, berkooperasi di dalam berbagai aspek. Tetapi terakhir Kayashima Sensei juga mengemukakan beberapa challenge atau beberapa tantangan yang dihadapi terkait dengan mengimplementasikan pendidikan holistik seperti ini. Seperti misalnya tadi yang disampaikan oleh Kayashima Sensei, seperti misalnya adanya peer pressure atau adanya masalah bullying, lalu atau perisakan atau perundungan, lalu juga ada masalah bagaimana beberapa siswa yang tidak fit di dalam pendidikan holistic approach seperti ini, mereka secara serius menolak untuk pergi ke sekolah, dan ini juga menjadi isu sosial yang cukup signifikan di Jepang. Kurang lebih seperti itu sedikit kesimpulan atau sedikit wrap up yang dapat saya sampaikan. Dan sebelumnya saya mohon untuk Bapak Ibu yang hadir di sini dapat mengisi 2 form ya. Yang pertama itu adalah angket dari JICA, lalu yang kedua adalah daftar hadir dari FIB UI. Daftar hadir ini mohon diisi karena ini yang mengisi daftar hadir ini yang akan nanti kami kirimkan e-sertifikat ya, atau sertifikat elektronik. So before we proceed to question and answer session, we would like to ask participants here to fill in 2 forms. The first is the JICA questionnaire form, and the second one is today's FIB public lecture attending form. So please cooperate in filling those 2 forms. And while all participants fill the form, I think we can first proceed to question and Q&A session, and we've already have 7 questions here. So kita sudah punya 7 pertanyaan. So I will read the question, and after that Kayashima Sensei please respond to those questions, and maybe after that I will check to the participants is it answer your question. All right, we go to the first question from Bapak Barata Haryo Subroto. The question is, how school recognize or acknowledge the achievement of the students? So that's the first question. And also from Bapak Barata, so Bapak Barata asked 2 questions. So I will read his second question. What are the 21st century competencies have been taught in primary schools? So that's the 2 questions first. Please, Kayashima Sensei, please answer those 2 questions first. Yeah.
Okay, the first question is the assessment academic or the students, the assessments. Is it a question about the assessments of the students?
Baik, maybe we can ask Bapak Brata directly ya. Bapak Brata, bagaimana Pak ini pertanyaannya? Apakah terkait assessment? Is it about students assessment? Please, if you can open the mic, we would love to. Yes. We would be glad to, yeah.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for Professor Nobuko-san for sharing. This is really valuable for us. And secondly, my question is referring to assessment to the pupils, to the students, because acknowledgement or whatever it named, it should give them motivations to do more, to follow the teacher's instructions and lessons. Arigatou gozaimasu.
arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much. About the assessment of the students' achievement, at the primary schools, we don't have how to say, a very formal examination at the end of the term or at the end of the school year. That is the regular assessment conducted by teachers themselves. So maybe the teachers conduct a very small scale the tests, or they observe how the student participates the class activities every day, and they took the notes, and they assess. There's the assessment. There's the teaching assessment, the learning assessment given by the teachers to the family, by the teachers to the family and to the students. But it is not the kind of how to say, the national, the uniform examination at the end of the year, at the end of the school year, or a kind of the formal, a large-scale examination at the same time within the school, etc. That it is the regular, everyday assessment conducted by teachers themselves, with the small tests and the observation by the teachers every day. Okay, I suppose I answer to the first question. And about the 21st century competencies, it is again a very, it is a word which we hear very often among the educationalists. And the current curriculum, the focus is again the 21st century competency, and the central concept is just for life. It is again linked to the concept of the 21st competencies, and the active learning became one of the keywords, or one of the very important direction given by the latest curriculum. So not simply memorizing or not simply assimilating knowledge and information, but students have to think by themselves, to find their solution by themselves, or to work together with the classmates, etc. That is very much encouraged in the classroom. In the curriculum at the primary level, the integrated studies is one of the category. And again, I found some question about the integrated study. Again, this time for integrated study, this is not a subject, but the period for time studies, the teaching or learning period for integrated studies. Again, this is to nurture the 21st century competencies. And the main program of the integrated studies is field work outside of the school, or the volunteer work, or the inquisitive activities on the daily life around the students, etc., etc. There's no textbooks. There's no, how to say, the concrete curriculum itself. So this kind of the more field-oriented, more the inquisitive teaching and learning is expected in this teaching period of the integrated studies. Okay, I hope that I explained about these two questions.
All right, is that make sense to you, Pak Brata? Is it all right?
Yes, all right. I really appreciate the response. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Pak Brata. All right, we will proceed to the next question. I will read two questions. This question is from Ahmad Fauzan. The question is, would you allow us to know the most effective ways which have fundamentally been used to build the positive attitudes of Japanese children or students? So that's the first question for this second session. And I would like to read one question again. This is from Muhammad Fadli from STB Ajia. The question is, would you please allow us to know if the club's students reached a first place in club tournament? It could be a field of study in natural sciences, social sciences, or athletics between schools. Do they receive a certificate, and does the certificate could be used to apply for a scholarship? So that's the two questions. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The positive attitudes is a very difficult question, but the positive attitudes towards what is it depends on the target of the positive attitude, but generally in Japanese teachers, they try to teach in the classroom in the way that the student enjoy learning. It means the student enjoy to mastering something or the understanding something, not just summarizing. So the students generally they are very happy when they found something or understand something. So that kind of the feeling of the discover or the feeling of the becoming mastered something, that create a very positive attitude of the student. So the teachers always try to give instruction or teach students in that way, not only force them memorize or assimilate the information or knowledge, but discover by themselves something, or the feeling of becoming competent on something, for example. That feeling of the happiness or the enjoying learning might become the motivation for learning further. So I think that creates the positive attitudes among the students. And the Japanese teachers are very keen about that aspect of the education. Maybe it is not always successful in the classroom, but the Japanese teachers are trying always to make students experience that feeling of discovery or the feeling of mastering something or feeling the competent on something. And the second question, I forgot what was the second question?
Oh, the second question, wait a minute. The second question is from Muhammad Fadli. Would you please allow us to know if the club's students reached a first place in club tournament between schools? Do they receive a certificate, and does the certificate could be used to apply for a scholarship?
Okay, thank you very much. There is some kind of the certificate of the first place, for example, the student can get if the student takes the first place in the tournament. But I don't know if it is always the requirement or the positive in getting some scholarships. it is not directly linked to the some special treatment or privilege in the school life. The certificate is given, but it is just certify the first place in the tournament. In Japanese school, it is said often the focus is given to the lower the students who are a little bit behind. So it is said that the gifted, for example, gifted children are not very well taken care of. So the focus of the teachers, focus of Japanese school is rather going to the lower class of the students who are performing less than the average. And so the parents of the gifted children often they are not very satisfied. They are not very comfortable with that school environment, and they try to send to the private school, etc., etc. There is also the controversy on that aspect. Maybe Japanese society or Japanese education is not sufficiently taking care of the gifted children, and that might be some social loss or the wastage of the education. Maybe the gifted children have to be treated in a different way from the average children. But as I mentioned, Japanese primary school is very homogeneous society and homogeneous among the schools between the regions, etc. So the focus is not on the top level of the students. Yes. Okay.
Okay, I hope this answer the questions, right? So we have like maybe we count like we have 10 questions, so we have to proceed it a little bit faster. So the next session, I would like to address a question first about the teacher's workload, and then the second about the social problems such as bullying and the disabilities, the children's disabilities in school. So the first one is from Hananya Suratinoyo from Universitas Pelita Harapan, related to the workload. How can Japan schools ensure their teachers are highly motivated? So that's the first question. And the second question is from, this is from my colleague, Ibu Tia Saraswati from Japanese Studies Program, Airlangga University. The question is about students with disabilities. So she asks for two questions. The first one is, are public Japanese schools also accepting students with disabilities? Example, students with wheelchair or autistic kids together with non-disabilities, or put these disabilities students on one special school. Because in her son's public primary school in Surabaya, the kids with disabilities are welcomed, but not in other schools. So her son's school welcomed the disabilities children, but not with other primary school in Surabaya. And the second question, it is also about disabilities. Is the regulation about the students with disabilities is the same for all primary schools in Japan, or it's different for each school? So that's the question about disabilities. And the third one, I would like to address the question about bullying. So there are two questions about bullying. The first one is from Bunga, my student here from Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia. How does Japan create a system in education that is supportive towards victims of bullying and provide educational and effective sanctions for perpetrators of bullying? So that's the question from Bunga. And also the same question related to bullying. It is from Ibu Fajria Noviana from Diponegoro University, Semarang, Central Java. So the Japanese children or students are known for their positive attitudes. But in the contrary, Japan's school also known for its rather high rate of bullying. Even in the primary schools, bullying also happens. So maybe Kayashima Sensei could elaborate on how this can happen more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. About the teacher's motivation, this is again the question often asked in JICA chair with other countries. And I suppose that the teachers' motivation comes from their, how to say, they enjoy teaching. They are very happy that the students are learning new things, and students are very satisfied to learn something or discover something and to become the teachers are very happy when students are happy with studying new things or become competent with the new issues. So that circle of the good circulation of the student satisfaction and teacher satisfaction to student satisfaction create the good quality of teachers in Japan. So the motivation of teachers, I found that the Japanese teachers are very high quality and they are very, very well motivated. And I have many friends of teachers, but they enjoy teaching in the school. And they say that the teaching is very interesting profession, and they like children learning something, discovering something. And again, the teacher's social position, the social status is not very low in Japanese society. And also in Japan's aging society, the number of the teaching profession is not expanding. It means becoming a teacher is not very easy because of the decreasing number of children. So all these things contribute to the quality of teachers, including highly motivated or the motivation of teachers. That is my answer about the motivation. About the disability, the children with disability, in old days, I think in 20 years ago, in the last century, generally the children with disability in Japan went to the special schools for the children with disability. But nowadays, there are special schools for the children with disability, but also there are many children with disability to go to the regular school, the normal school, and to learn with the children without any disability in the classroom. This kind of the inclusive education became the very the widespread norm in Japanese society or in educational scene. But there are also the special schools. So it is the parents' choice or the student choice to go to the specialized school or to go to the regular schools. And in case of the inclusive education in the regular schools, there are often the helpers to support the children because the children with disability needs the special, the tailored support for each kind of the disability. Children without vision, children without the deaf children, they need some help. Without some support, just putting the children with disability in a normal school as the other students, the children cannot learn, children with disability cannot learn. So the special care is needed. The teachers have to taught how to treat, how to teach the children with disability, and also there's some special the helpers is often needed to stay the whole day with that kind of the children with disability in the classroom. Okay, but this is, I think, relatively new phenomena. Maybe from around the 2000, it became a very familiar, very natural or the regular thing, but it became a very normal or regular scene of Japanese primary school. The lastly, the bullying. This is very, very difficult issue, and we have been discussing the bullying from the 1970 when the utility education started, but I think it became a little bit less than compared to that period, but still it exists, and every day we heard a lot about this kind of the problem in the TV or in the internet, etc. And there are a lot of instruction from the ministry, and the schools and teachers are very paying much attention to the aspects, but it is very difficult to eradicate all these problems. Yes, I don't have a very the perfect solution for the bullying issues, but I would like to also learn from the experience of Indonesia about the bullying issue. Okay, thank you very much. That's all my answer.
All right, thank you very much, Kayashima Sensei, for the answer. I hope this answer your questions. So the last session for this Q&A session, we have 3 last questions. The first 2, we have a question about curriculum, and then the second one is about a multicultural issue in Japanese school. So the first one is from Ibu Ike Iswari Lawanda from East Asian Studies Graduate School at Faculty of Humanities. So would you elaborate more about the core of the intersections that makes Japanese academic perform great in this holistic approach? And maybe this second question, you've also mentioned or talked about it a little bit. And would you please elaborate more about integrated activities in the distribution of curriculum, which covered by 70 hours since 3rd grade till 6th grade? So that's the first question about curriculum. And the second question, also about the curriculum, it is from Bapak Irfan Wicaksono from Kyushu University. The question is, if I remember correctly, Japanese teachers teach every subject in the primary schools. And is this considered effective teaching in the current curriculum, considering that every teacher has strong and weak subjects, and also that many teachers may be overworked? So that's the second question. And the last question is from Kansarai Hana. This is our student in Japanese Studies program. And she asked in Japanese. So first I will read it in Japanese, and then I will briefly translate it in Bahasa Indonesia so all participants can understand the question. And please answer in English so everyone can understand the answer. So the question is, 日本の小学校では日本に、在留する外国人児童への対応はどういったものがあるのでしょうか。近年の日本の小学校では外国からの生徒が増加の傾向にありますが、そういった多様な背景を持つ子どもにも、先ほどプレゼンテーションで述べたような行事などに参加させていただけるのでしょうか。それとも言語が通じない、申し訳ございません。言語が通じない子どもなどには、また別の教育方法が存在しているのでしょうか。 Jadi Bapak Ibu, sedikit secara singkat pertanyaan ini adalah terkait dengan bagaimana dengan anak-anak atau murid-murid berkeluarga negaraan asing yang sekolah di sekolah Jepang, karena hal ini juga menjadi satu masalah di Jepang. Semakin banyak bukan hanya murid-murid Jepang yang bersekolah di sekolah Jepang, tapi murid-murid dari berbagai negara. Nah, untuk murid-murid dengan latar belakang yang bukan orang Jepang ini bagaimana? Jika ada masalah dengan bahasa, itu apakah masih tetap bisa ikut di dalam kegiatan sekolah yang seperti tadi dipaparkan oleh Kayashima Sensei, juga bagaimana perlakuan sekolah menghadapi isu multikultural seperti ini. Kurang lebih seperti itu Bapak Ibu pertanyaannya. Hai, Kayashima Sensei, yoroshiku onegai itashimasu.
Hai, arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. About the curriculum, the academic performance of Japanese students, I think the good teachers, the quality of good teachers and their dedication is from my perspective, the most important factor contributing to the academic performance of the students. Yes. And about the integrated studies, I think I partly explained about the integrated study. This integrated study, the special time period for integrated study, this became this newly created teaching period at the time under the new direction of the utility education. So the integrated study is really the typical the image or the very most important output of the start of the utility education. And as I mentioned, in the utility education, there is no textbooks. There is no, how to say, the very concrete, uniform teaching contents. It is the time for field works or the voluntary works of students. So often the education is conducted in school, but sometimes outside of school, based on the concrete activities rather than sitting in the classroom. So there has been a lot of confusion when the integrated study period the time was created under the utility education, and there was a lot of discussion, controversy on the integrated study, but it became little by little more established in Japanese school education, and I think nowadays the teachers are conducting the active learning, such as the inquisitive teaching and learning activities, the searching information on the issue around the daily issue of the school or the children's life, or the discussion among them, or the field work within the community, etc., etc. That is the integrated studies. Okay. About the multicultural, or about the teaching, the teachers teaches every subject in Japanese school, yes. And the question was that, is it most efficient and effective way or not? Currently, I think there is no any discussion about changing this system. I think in Japan, this is regarded very, how to say, in a positive way. And this is a very good way in teaching. I think this is because the Japanese teachers are capable to teach every subject, and as well as the learning at the primary level is, how to say, very much linked between the subject. It is not very much specialized and independent according to the subject. The learning something in the Japanese language is linked in some way to the learning in the social science, for example. So the teachers in Japanese school education system, it is so that the teachers teach every subject, regardless of the subject, because the teachers have to understand every characteristics of the each pupils, students, and to take care sufficiently in the classroom. That is the answer to the teaching by the single teacher. And about the foreign students, yes, that's true. This became also the another new challenging issue in Japan. During the pandemic, it became less. But since there are many foreign workers in Japan from the Latin American countries or from Southeast Asian countries, so there are many children of the foreign workers. In some districts, more than 10% or 20% of the students are foreign students. And of course, they participate all the programs of education, in the class academic subjects, as well as the school events. They are not excluded from any of the school activities. But since the teachers, since there is the problem with the language or the communication, the schools with a high percentage of the foreign students have a kind of the difficulty or challenging issues. And the municipality or the government try to send the language instructor or the organized language class, Japanese language class, or the support the students to learn in Japanese language with the kind of the translator and language instructor, but still it becomes sometimes very difficult. But since the pandemic is now in the process of the ending or the normalizing, so again that will become the very important and the difficult issue and the need to be resolved by the Japanese society. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Kayashima Sensei, for all your answers, and that's the wrap, I think, for our Q&A and discussion session today. And thank you very much once again for all the participants for your brilliant comments and brilliant questions. I'm sure you all maybe also have another question, but we are really sorry since the time is schedule is tight, so we have to end the session here. And once again, to Kayashima Sensei, we are very happy to have you here today. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and insights. And let us all give a warm applause to Kayashima Sensei. Thank you very much, Sensei.
Thank you very much. Also, I very much enjoyed to having the question and answer and reactions from the audience. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sensei. All right. I would like to give this forum again to our Master of Ceremony, Ibu Chisanti Arunsari. Silakan, Ibu Chisa.
Thank you for our moderator, Dr. Ruli Aster. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our online public lecture today. Holistic Education in Japanese School, Intellectual, Physical, and Character. On behalf of the organizers, the Japan International Cooperation Agency Indonesia Office and Faculty of Humanities Universitas Indonesia, we would like to thank our speaker, Kayashima Nobuko, Ph.D., for the insightful and educational session that we've had, and also our moderator, Dr. Ruli Aster, and our participants today. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.